All right, we are continuing with the blueprint made on New Homes. And I'm really excited to use this platform to discuss the neighborhood I manage right now, which is Whispering Pines. The crazy thing about Whispering Pines is that we have been there going on 10 years. So I thought it would be a really good idea today to talk about where we have been, where we are, and then where we're going. So just to give a few quick pieces of information, I'm Brittany Hopkins with Maybaum Real Estate, and I manage the neighborhood of Whispering Pines. And I've been selling the new homes and real estate, I think, for 18 years. I mean, it's all I know. It's all I've known. It's all I've done. It's what I've done right out of college and what I've done for my career since then. So I thought it would be really fun to bring you in. Now, who are you?
I'm Keith Lawrence. I manage Maybaum's Development Company. I'm a civil engineer, a PE. Been doing this for about 30 years. Started out of when I graduated Georgia Tech, started doing engineered plans, and then went to Riverwood, was actually the construction manager and the planner over there. Maybaum hired me, managed the department for Maybaum for probably about 10 years, and then been doing development since then.
Okay, so
Love it.
you are Maybaum, a development manager.
I
You
am.
are the guy behind it all, the guy that thinks of all of these neighborhoods that we sell each and every day.
Do.
All right, so I've loved working alongside of you for all of these years, and my main goal for this is really just for us to talk to potential buyers that are looking for new homes. And I want to discuss a plethora of things, but I want to give a few numbers really quick. So, in the neighborhood of Whispering Pines, we closed our first home in April of 2025. So, it's currently September 2025. So, we've closed 63 homes. We have 9 currently pending. That total 72. There's 115 homes to sell in its totality out there, correct? I don't know why I'm saying correct. I should know that since I manage.
You should. But I do know that as
We
well.
have 115 homes. So the bottom line is we are already over 60% sold out. So I do get a lot of phone calls all the time. Is there another phase coming? What's happening behind phase 6? And it's it. This is it. This is what phase 6 is done. And then we will have sold 660 homes in about 10 years, which is our goal. I think we've hit that. But I really want buyers to learn a little bit about what we have right now in the neighborhood, but also how we got here. So I think the biggest question that I want buyers to understand when we're talking to a developer is you see what's been going on. When I say you, our homeowners have seen what's been going on for 10 years, building and prices and neighborhoods and builders and amenities. But I think that the consumer needs to understand how long it takes to get there. So question 1, how long does it take to get a neighborhood like a Whispering Pines, 660 home sites, a decade worth of building and selling off the ground?
It's kind of a loaded question. It changes from neighborhood to neighborhood. But
Yeah.
Whispering Pines, I probably worked on for about 8 years prior to delivering the first lot.
Prior to.
So you're talking about for Whispering Pines, for me, 18. And that's not uncommon.
Year to date, 18 years you have into this neighborhood. I have 10, you have 18.
Yep.
Okay.
And so it's why we want so much for our neighborhood because we have so much invested in it.
Yeah.
And I think
absolutely.
that it's different for every neighborhood. Some neighborhoods, it's unusual to have one that takes less than a year's worth of planning before you build it. So probably the shortest, probably 2. We've worked on, goes back to like Riverwood Plantation. I mean, I did the original plan when I was working at Cranston, 1998. And
Crazy.
so
I think that
project
point's
was probably
always missed on how much effort you and your team put into these neighborhoods. I mean, we'll get into it in a little bit about what's in the future. I know you're working on a ton of things right now that won't come to fruition until much later on.
Yeah, Riverwood was probably a 25-year project.
Wow. From the first time you thought about doing to the last home closed. That's crazy to think about. I mean, that's a lot of work.
It's a lot of time that goes into the planning. Whispering Pines, talking about that one, I probably did 15 different full master plans. We've had to evolve as the market changes and we find certain price points are selling.
Yep.
And sometimes we miss the mark. We in one neighborhood, 65-foot lots may be a fast seller. And so put more 65-foot lots in next year. it's the garden section,
Yeah,
55-foot lots. And so it's always a moving target. We just try to balance it best we can. I would say that, our success in Whispering Pines is being able to do multiple price points.
I agree. I think that you and I, it's one of I think our builder team also, and how you developed that neighborhood is such a beautiful project and, a very highly sought after area. And it's just the 8 years you spent before the first home closed in 2016 is testament to all of that we would not be where we are without doing that. But I think what consumers don't know, and when I get the opportunity to sit with a potential buyer or a realtor friend or anybody and discuss how we price these homes or what we do. It's called product positioning. That's really what you're discussing
Mhm.
right now is you, myself, a team of people, our builders, we sit down and we discuss what's happening in the market,
And it
what needs
goes,
to sell, what hasn't sold and why.
and that all has to take place. Even my side takes place when we entitle it. So we've already pretty much laid the groundwork how we want to go to the neighborhood. Now we're allowed subtle changes throughout there, little product mix as long as we increase density. We can have more one size, less of another size.
Yeah.
But it goes back long ways on finding who we are before the ever house is ever first built. We have
Yep. A lot of work.
we know where we.
I wish that we could do, and that's my goal, not just with this podcast, but using this platform to really discuss what's happening in the future, which will end because I know that's something that everybody is super excited about. But I think that just goes missed so much is how much effort is put on years in advance before that first home sold. So selling our first home in 2016 in Whispering Pines, that's just crazy. That's the year my son was born. So
Yeah.
that's craziness. But thinking of that, I I can tell you the prices of the homes have gone up because that's what you want in real estate, right? You don't want prices to be stagnant. Of course, if you're a buyer now, you want to get the best deal. But a really good selling neighborhood like Whispering Pines, you have seen an increase of price over the tenure of time that you've been selling. And I think that is one really, really good item to think about when you're a buyer. So you look at the same floor plan. So our builders, we now have three core builders. We have Plainville Homes, South Georgia Homes, and Oconee Capital. Those are our three currently in Whispering Pines. And they also sell over a number of your other developments
They
as
do.
well, correct? So we have those builders, and we started off with seven. Was it seven or eight? Can't remember when we
Probably
came.
7.
I think we started off with seven. And so we've dwindled down now to these three, and they do a really, really good job. But I think one of the biggest items for me when we're product positioning and looking at a house is understanding the market here locally versus what's happening nationally. Do you have an opinion on our local market compared to where it is nationally as a developer? I can go on and on about the real
Yeah, I
estate
mean
side of it.
we have a very stable state market
Great.
compared to across the United States.
In comparison to, yeah.
When you look at like the Atlantas and Charleston, Savannah, they saw the booms
Hmm.
in 2003, 2004. And we did see a boom, but it wasn't. Our peaks are not as high, which means our
Valleys are
valleys
always
are
low.
not as low.
Agreed.
And I think it's a very stable economy that we have, and it's been one that I think that has kept home pricing affordable
Hmm.
on that side. And I would just tell your listeners when they're looking at neighborhoods, you want a neighborhood that is committed to the vision we started with. That's the key, which is so many times when we travel um, regionally at neighborhoods,
Hmm.
they had one builder come in and then it changed, and there's a new builder coming in. It doesn't mean the house prices. I
Yeah.
think you want a neighborhood that's committed to the vision of what they want, who they want to be. That's how you get the appreciation values.
And I'm really happy for every single homeowner in Whispering Pines that's been there for a year, 6 months, or that's been there for the entire time, first home that closed in 2016, because the property value that we collectively as a group has established for these residents and these homeowners is one thing I'm most proud of. I mean, I think for me as a realtor, not being a builder's agent, I look at the marketability of a home and I look at what those homeowners and those families can make off that. It will always be the American dream. And I know that no matter what neighborhood I manage or where my focus is, and I know you feel the same, that we want to make sure that we're producing a lifestyle, we're producing a home that has solid resale value. We're doing a lot of things. It's not just how many sales can we get that year. And I'm just really proud of what both of us have done
Mhm.
for Whispering
Yeah,
Pines.
Whispering Pines
It's
has
taken a
been
team effort. It's been great.
Whispering Pines has been a great neighborhood, and I think that one thing to always look at is that every neighborhood's different, depending
Mhm.
on the price point that you're trying to sell homes at.
Yeah.
You different things with amenities, different. Look at Rhodes Farm. That was one of our neighborhoods. Great
Beautiful neighborhood.
neighborhood.
Mhm.
High architectural standards, high price per square foot is what they were sold at, and so I think that try to translate that to everywhere. That doesn't allow you to buyers to. And I
Well,
think
I'm
that
so
that's
glad
something to
you
look at.
so glad you mentioned that. I wasn't gonna get we don't have to go too far into it, but I am glad that you mentioned that. I think that I love living in Columbia County. I absolutely love it. All 3 of my kids go to public school in Columbia County. I love living, I love selling, I love working. I just love to see the growth that's happening in Columbia County. How hard is it to develop in this county?
Every county has its unique challenges, to
Yeah.
be honest with you. I'll just start with Aiken County. Just think about it before I go to Columbia County. Aiken County just recently put an impact fee on sewer usage, and so developers now have to prepay for their sewer usage for the neighborhood, and so it's
Oh.
going to probably be in that between $2,500 to $4,000 a lot.
And what the consumers have to understand ultimately goes back to the price of your
It does, and
house.
it's not 3 or 4,000. It's
Yeah.
going to end up being
Mhm.
probably 15, 25,000.
It's a
So
lot.
it's a big change, I think. And then you look at Columbia County, and Columbia County just has a vision to have great neighborhoods. I think that's what they're looking for, and it's difficult to put an ordinance in place to get great neighborhoods. So they really a lot that you have to put forth on a neighborhood. They created 10 years ago. They created the PRD, Planned Residential District.
Mhm.
And that's where developers on our side and planners, we get through, put together a plan to how we're going to present these homes to the and what kind of amenities we're going to do, the layouts and
I mean, this is voted
everything.
on, correct?
It
This is
is by the
something
planning
that's
commission, and then it
okay.
goes to the board of commissioners. So it's difficult on the entitlement side, and but what their goal is to have great neighborhoods, and I think that I can't argue with that. I
I
like the
appreciate it.
challenge
Yep.
to do the best job we can, just knowing that depending on the price point you're serving, our goal is always to develop the best neighborhoods for that price point.
Agreed. I mean, there's a lot to say. I know there's a lot of effort that you put in, and there's so much that goes on behind the scenes. And I'm definitely not an expert on the development side with Columbia County, but I can appreciate their emphasis on making sure that we are held to a higher
Mhm.
bar, that we are held to a higher standard, because price point is very, very big. I mean, everybody makes a different amount. We have a great cost of living here in Augusta. It's one of my favorite parts about living in Augusta and raising a family in Augusta. It's just, I love from Houston, Texas. So being from Houston, Texas, it is quite different here in Augusta. But I love that this is where I'm raising my family and being able to produce these neighborhoods at an affordable price. And affordability is different for everybody. It might be different for me, from you, from Bob,
Mhm.
from Sue. But I think that I do appreciate that Columbia County really does hold development to a higher level of standard. And I think that is continuing to change every single year. What you did 5 years ago or a neighborhood you produced 5, 8, 10 years ago is going to be drastically different in 2026, 2027, correct?
Whispering Pines, for example, street trees were not required. We did it on our own.
Mm,
It is a requirement in every neighborhood. But it evolves
setting that bar. I love it.
from not just the planning, not just what everybody sees on the outward sides, but how we design our storm pipes, how we design our detention ponds, how we handle erosion control, all the things that most people take for granted continually to evolve. They continue to evolve over time and it's changing that most people again never realize. But there's big changes that have made better and better neighborhoods.
I would love to do a whole series on the secret life of developers, but what goes on behind the scenes, because I feel with more and more homeowners and buyers and realtors fully understood why things are done the way they are, especially in our neighborhoods, why our homes, our builders, our prices are where they are. They'd have a really better understanding of why we do what we do. So I
It's
feel like that's going to be for a later date, but
it's
I would
controlled
love to. It
chaos.
is. That
It's
is.
it's controlled
It's beautiful
chaos, and it's
chaos. It
and
is.
it's it's
Yeah.
one that you have to understand that everything that your plan. You can write down your plan of attack on how you're going to execute, and then something throws a wrench in it, and
Yep.
throws a curve,
It's building
and you
too.
have to adjust.
I mean, that's. I'm just very proud of where we have been in Whispering Pines. And I would love to be able to talk about every detail in this neighborhood So I want to flip from the past and how we got there to the present and just quickly go through where we are. But I really want to focus and end this on the future because that's what everybody cares about.
Mhm.
Where are we going? What are we doing? Where are the lots? Where are the neighborhoods? What's happening? And I know you can't give a lot of details, but you can give a tad bit of insight. Um, so with that said, Whispering Pines, 63 homes closed, 9 pending. Yo, we didn't close our first home. I said at the very beginning of this when we sat down until April of this year. So the fact that we've closed 63 in 5 months is a testament to every single person from our superintendents to our workforce, to our sales team, to our realtor
Mhm.
friends, and to the consumers for wanting what we're building. It tells me that our product positioning, what we're building, and how we developed is exactly what the consumer is looking for between the 350s and the 650s.
I agree.
I'm really proud of that. Right now, we have a good bit of incentives happening. We have 1% towards closing costs when preferred lenders are used. Some of our builders are adding in a fence or blinds if the property is sitting a certain time period. But, you know, that is how quickly we sell. We don't need to do a whole lot more. We are really, really focused on not incentivizing buyers to get everything for free. We're really incentivizing buyers with the type of homes that we're building. So looking at the standard features of the gardens, cottages, ridges, and estates, looking at how the builders build, look at what they're doing, I think is more important and more imperative for the purchase of what you're doing than what we can give away.
Mhm.
So if anybody has any questions, y'all can call me directly, 706-631-1983, and we can go through all of that. But we'll be sold out this time next year. Whispering Pines will be completely wrapped up, and I'll be crying because it was my fourth child. I have three. And wrapping up this neighborhood it's been a long, fun, intense um, decade of building. So we're going to be moving on to the next project. So tell me a little bit about the next 12 months into 5 years.
Yeah,
Where are
for
we going in
us,
Columbia County?
so for us in Columbia County, we've got 3 new neighborhoods, total of about 303 lots that'll be in Columbia County. Um,
Okay.
we've got a new project that's about to start over in, the city of North Augusta. That's 70 home sites, and I
In
think
North
that
Augusta, I'm sorry. Okay.
I did.
303 in Columbia County and then
Mhm.
70 in North Augusta. Okay.
Yeah. And then, I think that they're all a little bit different. Try not to compete with ourselves if possible. So the location of our neighborhoods are great locations. We pride ourselves on having, plus locations. I think that's important.
I don't want to cut in, but I've got to cut in because you said something to me a long, long time ago that you say to a lot of people. And when you're talking about key locations and how you look at a tract of land, how do you look at a tract of land? What makes it
I
different?
think
You have a visual.
I've done it so long that land has a way of wanting to be a way. If you work against it, it's not nearly as attractive a neighbor. You got to work with them. It's kind of a bit of a left coast type feel,
Mhm.
but it's true. If you let it speak to you, it kind of tells you how it wants to be. There's always a few lots that kind of work against that, but overall, you can feel the neighborhood on how you want it to be. I can see it when I go out there and look at it before it's
Mhm.
built. Then we make adjustments in the field and try to get the best product type. And I think that for us, one of the key things that we do different is because I did engineer plans, because I sold the manager for new homes, because I handle the development, I look at it a lot differently.
Yeah.
And so a home site to me, we look at it as an entirety because I'm looking for how it's going to drain. I'm going to look at where that drainage runoff is going
Oh,
to be
remind me
going
to talk about drainage at some point.
against the neighbor's house or
Yeah.
where it's going to flow. And so we look at it completely different
Mhm.
because I've seen all the different facets of it. So as when I used to do engineering, they'd want, need to get 50 lots in this area, and then we give them 50 lots. And whether or
Mhm.
not it was 50 great home sites, that was different.
Yeah.
And so now we try to really end up giving the yield is what the land will give us instead of working against it.
You do a really good job at that from all your different neighborhoods, but they all feel, I know this sounds funny, but they all feel so different, but there's so many similarities because of how you look at it and you cut it up and slice it up.
That's probably, I mean,
Truly.
I do all the planning myself, and so that's probably because it's my style
Mhm.
on how I like it. Not a giant fan of a bunch of cul-de-sacs. They don't usually give you the
Rooftop,
best
rooftop,
yields.
rooftop, rooftop.
We try to get buffers where possible.
Mhm.
Like require the builders to put back porches on every house. I think to me is probably one of the unseen streetscapes that most people know they don't like when they're not on there,
I
but they
agree.
they don't realize why they like it. they look down the
Mhm.
back of the houses.
Mhm.
But to me, it's a must, and everybody needs to have the opportunity to be able to enjoy it outside.
I remember years ago, we were with I can't remember what builder we were with. We were with somebody, and I don't know if it was in Whispering Pines, but I have a vivid memory of us riding by and looking at a street from the back. Do you remember this? And I don't know who we were with, and we said, "Why does this look so different?" And you said, "There's no back porch. There's no back porches on these
Mhm.
homes.
And
That has to be mandated."
you can see it in a lot of the neighborhoods. There's some in Aiken neighborhoods, some big neighborhoods that
Yeah.
don't require it.
It's you
It's
don't
very
know what you don't know
yeah.
until you go into a neighborhood like a Whispering Pines or other neighborhoods that you've developed and you've planned and you've worked tirelessly on. You don't know what makes it stand out besides things like that.
Mhm.
But that's also, that's why we have standard features and we talk about upgrades and we talk about product positioning. I mean, I think my biggest thing managing new homes is working on collaborating with development builders, and I get a lot of homeowner and buyer input behind the scenes on what works and doesn't work. We don't want to take the same plan
Mhm.
and just add a back porch to it. We want to be able to evolve our homes just like you want to evolve your developments with what buyers are expecting now in 2026 and
Mhm.
beyond. I mean, same thing with colors, white cabinet versus gray versus this versus that. All the features. It's the same thing with building the house, the bones, the sticks and bricks. I'm not talking about the colors and the design of it, but I'm just talking about what we enforce as a development team and as a sales team and a builder team that makes our neighborhood
Mhm.
stand out. I had it's a flashback to that conversation. Okay, before we go into any more about the 303 home sites and your 3 new neighborhoods that you just mentioned. Okay, so from your standpoint, what is the number one thing that a homeowner should do when they are building a home?
Probably the number one thing I deal with after homeowners buy a house is drainage.
I knew you were going to say that. I've heard it time and
And
time again.
I'm a big advocate. Most people don't want to spend the money on it, and it sounds silly, but gutters on the house, tying the downspouts into a structured drainage system means pipe in the ground that then flows to the street or flows to the backyard. Getting that water off the surface and into a box and into a pipe will a drier yard. And most people don't understand that warranties, most of the builders' warranties are it's not a drainage problem unless it lasts hours.
I thought is it 72 by the county? It's
It's 42,
48?
48
48
hours.
hours. Okay.
And it's basically so that means 2 days you have water standing on your yard.
Yeah.
Now they have code requirements, has to be 2% away from the house, the
Columbia County has
swale.
code requirements.
That's right. And it has to be 2% down the swale off the property, and they meet all those guidelines.
They do.
But if you really want a good system as a buyer, you need to spend money on those things.
I've heard you talk about drainage. I've heard our builders call you about drainage. I've heard home call you about drainage. I have heard it. I've worked with
Mhm.
you, I think, for almost 18 years. And
But
I have heard you drainage, drainage, drainage,
they're all
drainage, drainage.
solvable problems. I
Yeah.
mean, they are. But it starts with solving it before you get to land. Because as soon as it's landscaped, you now have to dig up a trench to run a pipe, tie it in.
Mhm.
So gutters can be added anytime. That's easy.
Well, I
It's
think
where it
that's
goes.
not to interject, but I think when you mention something as simple as gutters, I think that most buyers, they ask me all the time, well, why do your builders not add gutters in downtown standard? It just all goes back to the price of the home. And
Sure.
either you value gutters and downspouts, I value gutters and downspouts. I value it properly put in. I would take that over a, two-tone cabinet or, certain features within the home that make it beautiful. I would take those items and then build up to those pretties, if you will, adding the lipstick onto it afterwards. But some buyers just don't understand. Well, another podcast I can do. What features should you be doing in a new home and paying for that are worth it versus others? I mean, there's things we can talk about, but they don't do that. We've talked about it every year we start a new phase. Should we add gutters and downspouts as a standard feature to all of our homes? And every year the vote is no, because a lot of buyers don't see the value in that $3,000 to $3,500 upgrade. Then you have to tie it in, which is additionally more.
Mhm.
You want white, you want black. They just don't see the value in it.
But
They'd rather have something pretty.
if you don't tie the gutters and you just keep the runoff washing against
Saturating.
the house,
Yeah.
but it still dumps the water into the yard. So really the solution to the drainage, I've gone out and seen many times people have gutters, and they have the downspouts and they just discharge into the yard.
Yeah.
They just need to be tied in. And
Super easy, simple.
until you tie it in, so you might have decided by doing this, it might be $500.
Mm-hmm.
And people look at it sometimes and says, well, I'd rather do X, Y, and Z in the house. And that's fine. But then you have to understand that you're going to accept conditions of rainfalls
Mm-hmm.
where part of your yard may not be.
I mean, coming from, you are an engineer. That's what you are. You went to Georgia Tech, you are an engineer. So of course, for you, making sure that everything is properly done from the very beginning is something that you would be willing to spend your money on.
Mm-hmm.
Others are different. So I would love to know, for our buyers and listeners moving forward, should we be doing gutters and downspouts standard?
I
Will
think it's
you
still,
appreciate that upgrade?
I think it's still a personal opinion, but I think as a home buyer, you just have to decide what's important.
Yeah.
And if you understand that you're not going to spend the money on gutters, downspouts,
Then you're going to have
siding,
some saturation in your yard.
then you're not going to have a perfect
Pending the
yard
lot, pending all the
every weather condition.
Yeah, I agree. Well, I just had to get your take on
Mm-hmm.
drainage because I think I talk about that all the time. I hear you talk about that, and that's one of the simplest upgrades that is not pretty, that nobody sees, but it makes your yard beautiful. It doesn't wash things out, doesn't kill all your landscaping, and we can do a whole nother little session with my builders. I want to do that. We'll do another little session on upgrades that are worth it, upgrades aren't, upgrades that you see versus upgrades that you don't, all those things. So we've talked about the past and how we got here and how great of a 10 years it's been and how proud we are of Whispering Pines. And then we've talked about where we currently are and that we are 60% sold out, and that we won't have any homes this time next year. So buyers, if you want to be in Whispering Pines, now is the time. We have 43 homes remaining. 43 homes remaining. So give me a call, Bo or Ben, and let us know. So you mentioned you have planned 3 new Columbia County neighborhoods, around 303 home sites, and then in North Augusta, another 70. Can you give any more information on location or school districts, or is that just really under the vest until we get a little further along?
Okay. We really can't. We try not to give too much information because we want to build up. We want to have a little more defined timeline of when we're going to go to the neighborhood.
It's the hardest part, the time frame.
It's weather conditions. People don't understand. I've talked about this a million times. Weather
Same.
really affects the delivery date. And so as we get further along, I should definitely be able to get an opportunity to find out more information.
I am 100% going to be doing something on that. For Phase 6, we did a campaign called the Insight Circle, and that's where we had registered buyers come. I know you're familiar with it, but we had registered buyers that were interested in a home between 350 and 650, that they want to purchase sometime in 2026. And I did that for over 12 months. And I believe we had like 150 to 160 potential families on this list.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It was a very well done campaign. It was great. We were able to knock out 28 pre-sales before one ground broke because those buyers and families knew they needed to renew their lease or knew they didn't need to sell yet. We worked out with simultaneous sales, with getting people locked in and doing pre-sales. It's kind of our specialty. It's what we do, and we do really, really well. But the time frame, it took a year and a half to get Phase 6 to where we could build and close our first home in April of 2025. I never in my 18 years thought that it would take that long. But I think everything from Hurricane Helene to every possible rainstorm to everything that could possibly go wrong went wrong.
Well, we're not building a factory. And so if you're building you're building a TV,
say it for the people in the back, yes.
And you want to produce 10,000 TVs, and you're inside an enclosed conditioned space, you can do that. For us, we have the weather. We don't control the weather.
Your biggest component.
Control the temperatures. All those things all have an effect on our ability in the neighborhood.
The amount of conversations that I had leading into Phase 6, it was painful for me because 99.999% of consumers, buyers, and realtor alike, those that I work with every single day, don't understand how little control we have on the construction of the development side. And it rains, and we say 2 weeks. I even get onto you because I always say, when are we going to start this? 2 weeks. We're going to do that 2 weeks. And truly, it's 2 weeks times 2. It's 2 weeks
and
times
that's
3.
why I don't like to give updates because because
he doesn't. He does not. He does not.
Can't control it, and so if you push it, then I can only tell you what I know at that moment.
Yep.
And if you get a 4-inch rainfall that night, it has now changed.
So what you know right now is that bottom line is we are going to have new neighborhoods in Columbia County that we can put buyers in started in 2026 and beyond. We have opportunities now. That's what buyers need to understand.
And
In
buyers,
great locations, in key locations, because you mentioned that earlier.
Buyers need to understand that every year the lot prices go up. Every year the house prices
Tell
go
them
up.
why. They need to know. It's just like clothing or food. I mean, but tell them why.
Well, I mean, you can't really define it other than just the price of everything continues to increase. Nothing goes down.
It's life.
It just
and it's life in a good economy.
Yeah, I mean, it's just it just costs so much to these things. So every year it increases. It's not an increase in profit; it's just an increase in cost. And
that's the biggest misconception is they're making more.
No,
but if they were to sit down and see our spreadsheets, they would be able to see really how that stayed the same, but the cost has gone up because the cost of doing business has increased.
It has, and I think it's just something, if you're looking for a house, I mean, don't wait because it's only going to increase in price. I mean, that's same thing goes.
Y'all,
100%.
Don't wait. I mean, I know that there's a lot of opinions out there based off national statistics and interest rates and your feelings and all of that. But locally here in Augusta, right now, there's so much good. I mean, I will end on this. We have in Columbia County, we have 226 active homes. We have 86 pending. And year to date, as of September, I believe it's September 9th. I know September 11th is coming up, so I believe it's September 9th. We've closed the county. Everybody collectively has closed 550 homes. People are buying. We are building. We have new neighborhoods coming. And I'm going to commit to doing a very intentional series moving forward about once phase 6 is over, where we are going, what we're doing, what we're building. I'm going to have builders on here. I might have you or Matt come back, discuss the construction time. I would love to have Mac on here. He would be so fun. He's a funny guy. Not that you aren't, but he's super fun. Have you guys come back on here and we'll really get into the details on everything. But I really appreciate your time.
Absolutely.
And I'm very excited about, these 400-ish homes that are coming to Columbia County, knowing that these listeners have somewhere to go is should hopefully give you some warm and fuzzies, and knowing how hard you are working behind the scenes. End on this. Of these almost 400 homes, how long have you been working on these projects that we don't know it yet?
They're all different. One of them I probably have been working on probably 8 years. One's probably 6 or 7. So they all vary.
Working with the landowners, working with
the counties, with the municipalities.
I wish that we could give more details, but we do have to protect that privacy just a little bit. But just know that we have somewhere to go, guys. We have somewhere to go, and we'll be happy to help you. Thank you. I really appreciate it. And job well done on Whispering Pines and Water Development.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. Thank you.